One for the weight weenies today. Wilier have released a brand new bike called the Verticale SLR.
It's green.
Wilier consider this bike to be a replacement for the Zero SLR in their range. So an out-and-out climber's bike, and the lightest disc frame set they've ever made. They sent us one for a first look, and here is the spec we have. Size small, top-end carbon frame in Hulk green, integrated V-bar in 40cm and 100mm stem, seat post with a magnetic light attachment thing, Shimano Dura Ace 12-speed, 160 rotor on the front, 140 rotor on the back, Vittoria Corsa Pros in 30mm, Mica carbon wheels with ceramic speed bearings, finished off with a Pro logo, Nago carbon saddle and a Mica out front mount. Something to note here, before we take this bike outside, we're going to remove the wheels and install our house wheel set, which are wheels and tyres that we've ridden loads. This is just a small attempt to try and create some consistency with the bike testing, because wheels and tyres can make a massive difference to how a bike rides.
We're now going to weigh the bike. We've got it exactly as they've sent it, which is Garmin mount, one bottle cage, I don't know why, and integrated light in the seat post.
Just turn the light on, because it'll be lighter.
You're a ghastly beast. 6.87 kilos, which is quite light. I've always wanted to ride a snot green bike.
You know what it's called? Hulk green.
Hulk green. Kind of weird. Kind of cool though. Quite like it. It's one of those like horrible but kind of cool things. Do you not think?
Like you?
Accurate.
Even with the house wheels, this rides beautifully. It is super, super smooth. Bear in mind the wheels we put on here are good aluminium wheels, which we think are a nice happy medium between everything. Some of the hyper bikes that we've ridden in the past, we haven't been able to switch the wheels out. This feels well up there with them, even though we have switched them out. The position is fantastic. I really like this bike. Price. This bike goes into our remortgage your house category, because the cheapest build is €9,900 with SRAM Force. I know. You can also get it with Dura Ace Di2, which we have here for €12,200, or Campagnolo Super Record for €13,400. So based on that, this is probably for your performance-hungry segment chaser, your professional bike racer, hill climb specialist, or just someone who wants to flash the cash. Handlebars are a bit weird. Some people are going to like them. I feel as if they're a bit skinny. On the tops, I don't find them very comfortable at all. I wish I had the bars wrapped all the way, but then you negate all the aero benefits. Clearly, they've tried to shave off grams in a multitude of different places on the frame, and handlebars is one of those places. They also step out instead of having a flare, so when you're on the drops, you're actually sat slightly wider. Another thing that I don't really like, and I don't like across the board. I wish even my gravel bikes didn't have flared bars. I just don't like it. When I go on the drops, I want to remain the same width. That is personal preference. I get that some people want to ride super technical gravel and have like really wide flare on their bars, and it aids you fitting a bar bag in your handlebars as well. Sizing. You're either going to be very pleased or very annoyed about this. They've made this bike more aggressive than the old race bikes, the Filante and the Zero SLR. It's a very long and low racing bike. So bear that in mind if your existing bike is an endurance bike. Your handlebars are going to be a lot further away. This decision will be fueled by the fact that the Astana World Tour team will be riding this bike in the race season coming up. The version we have here is a size small, and it has around a 52cm top tube. So at least the size labels are about right.
Something I find interesting about this bike is that it is a size small, and it is actually the one I would pick. A lot of the time now, bikes seem to be getting so much longer, I find myself having to go down a size to find the fit that I like I did with the Penarello, like I would with all the Scott's bikes as well. So it's really interesting that this bike is a small, and actually rides quite small. Seems odd, especially when they've made it longer. Good work, Wilier. Well done. It would be a fantastic position if I was allowed to spend 15 minutes with it with an Allen key and make a couple of little like Jimmy adjustments, and then it would be very, very nice. And I would like the £4,000 wheels back, please.
All the bar options are pretty narrow. They do a 40cm and a 42cm width with a variety of different stem lengths, longer stem lengths in the bigger size, but they measure much smaller at the hoods. So despite it being labeled as a 40cm, the bars that we have here actually measure to 35 centimeters at the hoods, despite Wilier saying that these would measure 37 centimeters at the hoods. It's not like we've got them set up really pokey in. They're very narrow and they feel very nice at the hoods. The negative here is that there isn't that many sizes, so I suppose riders who do need a wide bar aren't going to be catered for. However, you can fit the old Falante bar and the Zero bar, which are from their other bikes, on this, and maybe even the super old Alabarda if you can find an old one of those. So you can get a more aero, flatter handlebar with a more traditional shape that doesn't step out, and it all fits. All of their bikes fit each other.
Presumably you have to pay another 800 euros to get the other bar for it though. There's definitely a new fashion in cycling handlebar design to go thinner and flary and bits sticking out and stuff. I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't mind them being thinner, to be honest, but the drop is just very uncomfortable. It's not in the right place. It's almost like elevated. Everything's pointing up and down. I want that to be flat. I want to have my hand on that and feel like I've got good purchase, or get into here and it be there, but there's a little nubbin in the way. If this wasn't a one-piece bar and stem, I would be loosening off the stem bolts and twisting the handlebars around slightly so that they had a nice, flush, flat finish to the floor, as I like them, but I can't, because it is a one-piece.
Livability. The section of the video where we fiddle around with the seat post and the headset to see how easy it is to put it together. Particularly if you're flying somewhere with your bike and you have to reassemble it. Straight out of the box here, the seat post wasn't in, the expander was completely separate, and the handlebars were off the bike. All of it was very, very quick and easy for me to put together. The headset works with a regular expander bung. You just slide the bars on, which have two 4mm Allen key bolts, screw in your top cap to create the preload, and then do the bolts on the side. And that's it. It's almost like a regular bar and stem. Seat post is a little bit more complicated to attach the Di2 cables, so plug them both in, and then insert the expander while tilting the bike forward so it sits in the right place, and push the seat post in. After that, it was very easy to access the expander from the inside of the frame, and you just do it up. I will give this an 8 out of 10 for ease of use. 2 points off, because the little seat post debris could fall inside the frame, and then you have to rattle it to get it out. So this seat post broke my brain for a bit in the studio the other day. Jimmy was laughing at me a lot. It's an oval seat post. Like, it's kind of aero, but not. It's not round, is what I'm trying to say. You would think, based on every other non-round seat post in the world on bikes, that when you put it in, you couldn't put it any other way but straight. But that's not the case. There's a bit of movement left and right. So the saddle was wonky, and I was just thinking, what is happening? It turns out you do need to straighten your saddle, get it lined up properly, and then do it up. If you buy one, set it up and you're confused, that's probably what's happened.
Do you not know that famous saying, Francis? You can't fit an oval seat post into a round hole. No, you can. You can fit an oval seat post into a round hole. That famous saying.
There's one thing that I feel should be pointed out about this frame. Many years ago, I was sponsored by Wilier, and because of that, they let me design my dream bike. It was almost perfect, except for one thing. This angular seat post clamp sticking out of the frame. They've made some great design choices, and the lines of this frame are very clean, very smooth, and thank God they fixed it. It was the only thing wrong with that old bike, and people love to point it out.
So we've slung the wheels that it comes with on the bike, and we've gone for a ride, and it does completely transform the bike, as you would expect. What it does show is that for this frame set, you really need expensive wheels to take the full advantage of it. Although it's now incredibly smooth and comfortable to ride, which it is, it still just isn't very exciting. It doesn't feel fast. Whilst I'm riding it, I'm not thinking, yeah, I'm having a great time, this is amazing. I'm like, oh, this is lovely, and I'm plodding along. I probably am going really fast, but it just feels a bit boring.
I completely disagree with Jimmy. With these fast wheels on, this bike is the opposite of boring. It's rapid, it's so reactive, it flies. Not everyone's going to agree, but I think this paint job is absolutely amazing. The tubing of the bike is a little bit more traditional. I love the lines. I love how it looks. There is one problem. Come on in. The quality of the paint is not very good around this edge here, and it's a little bit lumpy and bobbly around here. So they've done multiple layers of paint. There's bits that are gloss, there's bits that are matte, and there's multiple layers. It's not at the level I would expect at this price point. We asked Wilier for comment. The Verticale you have is one of the very early samples produced. Of course, with an artisan process for painting, we need to practice for a while and find the best possible way to spray this new tone of green with the right safety area. There are many layers of colours and chrome underneath the haze of green. Also note, these first samples were made in record time to fit the media day deadline. That seems plausible, but make of it what you will. The one we have here looks fantastic from afar, but up close, there are issues.
We've been having a chat about this bike and we feel like it's a bit confused. It's almost like if it had come out 5 years ago, we would be really excited about it. But it just feels a bit behind the times now. It's a bit late for where we are. Its only real competition is the Specialized Athos. Same sort of price, same sort of spec, probably a similar weight, although I think the Athos is officially a bit lighter, but probably not by loads. It's a type of bike that I just feel like people aren't really buying anymore. If there's any bikes that you think this is a direct competitor for, sling them in the comments down below and we'll look them up. But now, more importantly, over to the recently part completed Cool Wall.
Wow. We introduced the Cool Wall in the last first look and we told you about the sections, which we haven't got titles for. It's going to be in the bin, meh, pretty good, proper good, want, god tier. We also haven't got a printer yet, so I took a shit Polaroid of the video. Where's it gonna go? Despite this bike being a bit confused, I really like it. I love the position. It just feels great to ride. It's a definite want.
I disagree. It is a fantastic bike, but it's not a want. It's just a proper good. It's gonna make more sense when there's actually titles, isn't it? Comment down below where you think this bike sits on your Cool Wall, because it's not gonna sit that on our Cool Wall. Sit that on our Cool Wall.